struggling. They don't know who he is just yet. They've had too many injuries. And Denver is on a pretty damn solid defense now. So, yeah, sorry, Jess, you're going down. If I had predicted victory by margin, I would say they're going to win at least like 10.
Yeah, well, I personally think that Denver is about as solid of an overall football team as any. We move on to the Detroit Lions, who are a surprising 3-2 given that the way that they have won and lost this year. They took their second loss of the season to the hands of the Buffalo Bills at home, and now they're in danger of losing grasp on what has been a division that was all theirs coming into week number 6. They travel to the 2-3 Minnesota Vikings, and Robert, I have an upset alert here. I take the Vikings to improve to 3-3. Detroit is still not a ball club that I like.
You're not seeing the obvious here. Detroit has a solid defense, and what is Minnesota have now? I mean, I understand you got Teddy Bridgewater as your starting quarterback, and I still don't think that team is coming together just yet. Matt Oscar is your running back. The AP is out. I mean, I gotta go with Detroit. I think this is a great offensive ball club. You have Calvin Johnson, Golden Tate, and Reggie Bush is your running back. And Matthew Stafford has actually had a pretty impressive season so far. So Nick, I'm gonna have to go with Detroit.
Well, in the words of Aaron Rodgers, quarterback for the Packers, RELAX. Relax, as currently Green Bay sits at 3-2, and they have a shot to take hold of that division with a win over the Miami Dolphins at Sun Life Stadium. A 500 Dolphins team looking to stay afloat in a division that has slowly lost out of their grasp. I am not a big fan of Ryan Tannehill and Philbin as well. I take Green Bay in a blowout victory there in Miami. What about yourself?
The Miami Dolphins are such an interesting team, Nick, and it's not a team like I don't even expect them to go. I don't even expect them to make the playoffs this year. I know Mr. Charity Carroll on National Sports Network he does coast to coast show, as in saying how much Miami Dolphins will make the playoffs. Well, they're not going to make it. I think Green Bay has a way better ball club. And first of all, what Aaron Rodgers has been doing with the wide receiver core has been fantastic. I mean, his main target, Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb is end zone threat. So, I mean, I like what Aaron Rodgers is doing in Green Bay, and Eddie Lacy had a comeback week, so I think he does it again in the Packers to beat Miami.
Well, if there's a team that has been run down their throat with consistency, it would be the Jacksonville Jaguars. They travel to Tennessee to take on a 1-4 Titans squad that's looking to stay afloat in the AFC South. And with a win and a Colts loss, I mean, they could be within something like a game and a half of actually claiming first place in that division right here. Do you think the Jaguars, who did last year beat the Titans in their house, do you think that they do it again? Because personally, I think the Titans have more firepower and have enough pieces to win that football game.
I think the Tennessee Titans do win this football game. I mean, obviously, it's not a great football team, but at the end of the day, I think the Titans are still the better football club. And it's just going to be really interesting what they could do. I think what Tennessee Titans are going to do is I think they're going to have a great first half and just come out wailing against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Well, the Titans and the Jaguars has been a divisional matchup that, despite the discrepancy in talent, it's been the Jags that have had the upper hand. In the same exact scenario that the Oakland Raiders have had the Chargers' number, especially in the black hole, as the Raiders at 0-4 are looking for their first win as they host the 4-1 red-hot San Diego Chargers, fresh off a blowout victory, the first shutout of the year in the NFL, and a 4-game winning streak. I take San Diego, but I take it with a grain of salt because this one could come down to the wire, Robert.
I don't know what you're talking about because the Chargers, I mean, I don't know about you, but Antonio Gates has been on fire this season. season.
He has.
Philip Rivers are connecting this whole season. You got Malcolm Floyd, who's been catching some footballs. Ian Allen, though, been kind of a silent type of guy this season. A lot of people are shutting him down, but, I mean, besides that, I mean, San Diego has the depth to make it. I mean, Eddie Royal and Malcolm Floyd have been really stepping it up. Antonio Gates as well. But that running back for Nick, I gotta say, I don't know how San Diego handles all the injuries. I mean, Danny Wood and Ryan Matthews out. Interesting to say the least. And the Raiders, man, something that was just hard to hear was Nick Roach, middle linebacker of the Raiders. He hasn't played all season long, by the way. It's on season-ending injury for the entire 2014 season. So something very sad to hear, because Nick Roach is actually a really solid player for the Raiders. But I don't see the Raiders playing this week. I mean, maybe under a new head coach, you never know what's going to happen. So, well, interim head coach. Still, the Raiders, I think they lose this one and go. They're going to stay 0-5.
It'd be the very first game and the very first loss for new head coach Tony Soprano, who it will be the interim coach for the remainder of the season. In a surprising battle between struggling, losing football teams, the 2-3 Chicago Bears travel to Atlanta to take on a 2-3 Falcons ball club, while the winner improves to 500. The loser will just fall further and further away from the playoff picture. Who do you have in this matchup between two head coaches and two ball clubs that should be at the top of their division, but frankly are not?
Well, I think I have to say I'm going to go with the Atlanta Falcons, because I mean the offense has been working very nicely. But I think one thing that's really interesting is pressure towards Matt Ryan, and something the Bears could do on that defense, put pressure on the quarterback. Right. Besides that, I mean, with Chris Conte out, and I think Kyle Fuller, though, is a big threat on that defense, and we all know this guy could be potentially Defensive Rookie of the Year. And something, I love watching this guy because he's been making so many picks. I mean, give him credit. He's been playing great coverage, and he was not a bust at all. But I think I'm gonna have to go with Lansing, though.
What's amazing is that Chicago has the personnel to be 5-0 this year, but they also have a quarterback and a regime right now that is losing games for him. I mean, Jay Cutler was non-existent passing the football when they lost last week to Carolina. At home, mind you, they have one of the worst home records in the league. I mean, they lost to the Bills to open the season, and then another loss right there. I'm going to, though, take Chicago in this game, given that they are just so much more talented than what Atlanta has on the table. And the Falcons, partner, they fall to 2-4. I mean, who would have thunk following the impressive win against the New Orleans Saints? And now, as we go farther in the season, we realize that win wasn't all that impressive. Saints have not been all that good of a football team. They have been surprising, along with the Dallas Cowboys. They are 4-1 this year, and they travel to Seattle to take on a team that you called it, Robert, would be 3-1 at this point, because you thought that they would lose to the San Diego Chargers in week number 2, and boy, were you right on the head on that one. It's the 4-1 boys and the 3-1 Seahawks. Winner stays afloat among the top of the division.
And look, Nick, the reason I called that game was because it's at San Diego. Against a playoff caliber type team on the road, and the Chargers have enough firepower to beat the Seattle Seahawks. Philip Rivers is not scared to throw the football to Richard Sherman. Are you kidding me? Philip Rivers will take that chance any day. But Sherman has so far been exposed this season. But nevertheless, I gotta say Seattle because it's at home. There's no argument for that.
The Cowboys may be trotting their way, sashaying, if you will, into the Lions' den, and they will be ready. They will not be ready for the kind of fight that the Seattle Seahawks have. Following a bye week, they'll have 14 days to prepare for one of their biggest wins of the season. Meanwhile, the Redskins at 1-4 travel to Arizona to take on the Arizona Cardinals, led by not Carson Palmer, not Drew Stanton, but another quarterback. And I think no matter who you got under center against the Washington Redskins team with Kirk Cousins at the helm, I still think the Cardinals win. They go to 4-1.
I agree with you. The Arizona Cardinals have been in such a hot seat this year, especially the NFC West has been so competitive, and we thought Arizona would actually be top in the rankings this year, even without a Darrell Washington.
That's amazing how they've been 3-1, have been dominant defensively without their star quarterback there for the Arizona Cardinals. And just to clarify, it's Arizona that with Ryan Lindley, I believe, at quarterback, they are trying to they're trying to win football games offensively as well. It's been an interesting year for the team out of the desert. The 3-2 New York Giants and the 4-1 Philadelphia Eagles from Lincoln Financial Field. Winner will claim first place after week number 6 in the division. It's a Sunday night football matchup between two powerhouse ball clubs, and just like it always seems to work in this division, every team beats up on each other right until the last week of the season, and I think this year is no different. Philadelphia, an ugly 4-1, about as lucky as you could possibly get, winning 4 out of 5 to start the year. I got to take the New York Giants in this game. They have been red hot with a Bill McAdoo, I believe his first name is, led offensive attack that frankly has the entire NFL by surprise. I got the Giants by 10.
I like what the New York Giants are doing. I think they get the win just because, I don't know, they have some guys that just come out of nowhere and make big-time plays. And Victor Cruz hasn't done that much, to be honest with you. He's been out of some kind of talent full season. They had a Tyrone Murray to now come out of nowhere. Rashad Jennings has been a main man there in the running game as well, alongside Williams as well, the rookie. The guy that's really stepping up, and he's going to have to for the next couple of weeks because they will not have Rashad Jennings as an injury. But still, Eli Manning, I think he's coming back into his old form.
Yeah, I believe the free agent acquisition of the season during 2014. It was Danny Woodhead last year. Came out of nowhere and became the all-star running back, for the Chargers. I think Rashad Jennings is this year's free agent acquisition that nobody's talking about. Meanwhile, the San Francisco 49ers at 3-2 traveled to St. Louis to take on a 1-3 NFC West foe, the St. Louis Rams, and many could call this a trap game, especially following the off-the-field issues and comments that Harbaugh and company have, but I still think that a team that has gone to 3 straight NFC championship games knows how to win these type of contests against ball clubs that you should be able to beat. I got the Niners by 10.
Even though I'm going to go with Niners just because the 49ers are, this team has had such a, their defense has really come up huge. Obviously the secondary is terrible, but that D-line, you have Justin Smith, Ray McDonald, and also you have your linebacking core that doesn't have everyone, by the way. You have Ahmad Brooks, Patrick Willis, and actually there's no Bowman, so it's kind of hard to. It's kind of really hard to be a Niners fan, even though you're losing a lot of your big defensive guys. One guy I love that a big free agent acquisition that was made in the offseason was Antoine Bethea. A man that's really set them, I think, has really led a young group of guys. There's also Patrick Willis had 2, and I can't wait for Bowman and Olin Smith to come back. But Bowman's injury could be a little bit stepped back more. I think they're going to save Bowman until the playoffs.
Yeah, Navarro Bowman was when Patrick Willis was struggling, he was the main linebacker for that Niners defense, which was frankly amazing given that Patrick Willis is potentially the most talented linebacker in the NFL. Week 6, it's still very early in the season, but what makes the NFL so amazing and so popular is that every game is so important for the final standings and the final playoff picture in the National Football League. Week number 6 should pay some huge dividends as far as ball clubs that are looking to make their way into the playoffs, and it all starts on Thursday night between the Houston Texans and the Indianapolis Colts. I'm going to give you a bold prediction here. That game between Indy and Houston, that's for the very first time this year, a game on Thursday Night Football that's decided by less than 20 points. Just a bold prediction, as there have been some flat-out blowouts in the first 5 weeks of the season. You had the Seahawks open up with a 36-16 win, then the Ravens by 20,